What's going on today, guys? We're going to cover some fungicide strategies for the transition zone and cool season turf, plus show you how to boost up your color with some additives to your fungicide application. So stay tuned for all this hot action. You don't want to miss it. What's going on, guys? It's Fungicide Friday. It's actually Saturday. I started Fungicide Friday yesterday. I just didn't take the time to make much videotape. Before I leave the shop, I'm going to go ahead and mix up a batch of what I'm going to run this fungicide round. Loaded into permagreen. What we like to do, or what I like to do, is run two different modes of actions in my fungicide. That's a 41 point something percent propiconazole right there. And what I'll do is I'll run the low rate of that mixed with the low rate of azoxystrobin. And the full rate on each of these products happens to be 32 ounces. So half rate is a pint. So a pint of 41% propiconazole and a pint of azoxystrobin. I also like to try to get a little nutritive action in with my fungicide application, and I'm going to do a few things here. I was really pumped and hoping to get my Subvert NPK MFT, but UPS somehow blew it up. So I'm gonna run these two ag fertilizers in combination, but you don't really have to worry about those because I imagine they'd be hard for just anybody to get because they come from one specific manufacturer. But you can easily get the Subvert NPK MFT, and that's what I would recommend, and that's what I would prefer to be running right now. And it may even be here by the end of the day, and I can go back by PPC Total Turf Labs and pick it up and run it on the rest of the yards. But due to the weather conditions, I feel like I need to go ahead and get this out and get rolling with it, because we've had a wacky spring. Usually by May 15th, in this area, I'm in eastern North Carolina, we want all our fungicide applications done, because usually you start seeing the first rounds of Rhizoctonia brown patch and by May 15th. So in fescue is what we're talking about. There's warm season issues out of this weather too, and I'll try to touch on some of those. But what with the weather, how it's been, cool, wet, it's not really been conducive to brown patch, but I have seen some other fungal issues in the fescue. I've seen a little bit of rust in some of my fescue yards, but they are the ones that I did see the rust in were the ones that I had highly growth regulated at the full rates, trying to control the POA, at the full rates of a new, trying to control the POA and regulate the turf. And this has been just bizarro world spring weather, so I don't know if there's any correlation to the growth regulator being on them or what, but we'll see if we see any rust today while we're out and make some video of it. I saw the rust last week actually, and it wouldn't surprise me if we don't even see it today. So I'm not severely concerned with the rust in the turf, but brown patch I am. Again, with your growth regulated fescue, you want to be sure that you are not you don't have it under regulation going into fungus season. And with the new, what I'm seeing is 4 and 5 weeks of control, and that might just be due to the weather too. So 4 or 5 weeks out from when you're going to have fungus weather, you're going to want to discontinue the use of a growth regulator on fescue. And who can predict the weather 4 or 5 weeks out? I don't know. But anyway, that's general Paul's Prime Cuts rule of thumb right there. But again, to kind of overview what I'm going to run is the half rate of azoxystrobin and the half rate of propiconazole, and the low rate of each, not really a half rate. But the idea behind that is combining the two different modes of action is going to make it much more difficult for your pathogens, your fungus to mutate and get around the control of your fungicide. If you just run one specific mode of action fungicide over and over and over, your fungus will begin to mutate and figure out a way to get around your fungicide and attack the grass. But if you've got two different modes of action there, it's a much more difficult mutation for the fungus to make, and the chances of it being able to get around your fungicide are just about nil. My game plan is probably these first 2 rounds of fungicide, and I have to do mine about a month apart. I know and that's just business reasons, because I don't have anybody that's willing to take a fungicide bill every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. The label usually will say 21, 28 days, but I have to stretch mine into about a 30-day corridor there. So my first 2 rounds are probably going to look pretty similar to this. It's going to be the low rate of the 16 ounces of azoxystrobin with the 16 ounces of the 41% propiconazole, some nutritive things, some humic acid. I'm going to put in some just a little bit of the Green County dethatch to give me some sugars in there, get those bricks up in the plant. Not so much for its dethatcher activity, whatever. That really doesn't mean anything to me. It's got molasses in it and yeast, so I'm feeling like I can get some microbial activity going. And then my little 2 ag fertilizers, they're, this is a 10-8-8. It's not a lot of analysis here. I'm not really looking for the nitrogen in it, but it's got this company's microamp pack in it, which is just a bunch of micronutrients, and it does have some kelp that I'm probably going to put in about a half gallon to a gallon of 12% humic acid. So azoxystrobin, propiconazole, the 2 ag micronutrient fertilizers, a little bit of dethatch, some 12% humic acid, and my nifty organosilicone surfactant. I can't even count that. That's a lot of crap. But I enjoy doing these fungicide applications, and it's a good opportunity to get you a little foliar goods on there, and I'm super looking forward to when the MFT comes in, because I know I'm going to want to run that. But these next 2 rounds will probably look pretty similar to this, maybe some changes, but the 2 fungicides, the group 3 and the propiconazole, and the group 11 and the azoxystrobin will definitely be in the next round, and more than likely the Subvert MFT, and I'll probably be able to get that in a few of them later in the week if it comes on in the mail. And in the hotter months, I will run a potassium in there, and I think Subvert will have one, but I've been using one from Actigrow called Catalyst, and it seems to have done okay. But I'm not as worried about getting that in this round. And the next 2 rounds, the ones the 2 months later in the summer, they're going to probably be azoxystrobin and something like Clary's fungicide, something that'll help me with gray leaf spot, because I do generally see more leaf spot going into the latter part of the summer, even more so than I did brown patch. I didn't see hardly any brown patch last year, but I had everything on this preventative deal here, and I did see gray leaf spot. So your later rounds could even contain all three. You know, you could run your azoxystrobin, your propiconazole, and your claries, and something nutritive. And I like to run a little humic acid in my fungicide applications too, and a potassium sometimes. But Subvert should have a good potassium coming out, and some of the other products will have enough of a load in them to be helpful in that regard. And the idea behind that one is you're going to still want to apply just a little nitrogen with your potassium, because it's the potassium is going to require the nitrogen to be taken up by the plant. It's the potassium and the nitrogen are going to work together going into the plant, so you got to have a little bit of both in there, but not tremendous amounts. I really shy away from very much nitrogen at all, especially when it gets super hot and grass seems to be stressed and all. You don't want to really do that. But this spring we've had a really prolonged growing season for the fescue, so I feel like we have churned up a lot of our nitrogen application that was made in early April. I feel like the plant's used most of that up because it's been in this growing mode for so long now that I might, on some of them that I did yesterday, I ran a really light application of X Green also, along with all this other crap. So they're killing them or they're gonna look great. But anyway, that's a lot of stuff to keep up with, but I'm gonna mix this up a batch and we're gonna head out. First and second stop of the day are right here together. That's the Mountain View seed yard, and this is the Triple Threat Plus. Both of them look great, but we're gonna do this concoction on them. This one, actually, I'm seeing a little something in it, and I'll try to zoom in and show you. All right, the turf looks really good, healthy, thick, dense. Got a little bit of this in it right here. I don't know if you can really see them good. I believe what we're looking at there, look how thick that stuff is. I believe what we're looking at there is a little bit of maybe helminthosporium due to just this wacky cool, super damp weather we've had. It rained for the entire week last week, and it's just been crazy cool, and I think that's just a little cool fungus that you'll see in there. All right, we're going to, as far as the comparison right now on the Mountain View seeds versus the pure seed varieties in the Triple Threat Plus, color and thickness and everything I think is a little better on the Triple Threat Plus. This one is going to take a little more punishment because of the direction that this hillside faces. It's in the direct sun and it's propped up into it, you know, because it's on the hillside. So summertime's going to be rough on this slope right here, but the rest of it looks fantastic. And that one faces the opposite direction, so I think it's going to fare pretty well, hopefully. We don't have much weed pressure at all in this one. I have sprayed these a couple times already, but this one over here was a bare dirt renovation. I took it down to complete nothing, so it was just a dirt yard in the fall when I seeded it. So stands to reason there wouldn't be as many weeds in there. This one, he's got in the backyard along the edges of the bed a few spots where the turf isn't quite as thick and some opportunistic weeds have come in. We're gonna spot spray them with the Flow Zone and some Momentum FX2, and I'll try to take you along for that. A little thinner turf along the edges, and I believe that is some Speedwell that is cropped up in there, but we're gonna Flow Zone that right out of there. Here's another Mountain View seed yard that the Rhizominous tall fescue that I started this fall. Still struggling with a little bit of Poa annua in it. Not so worried about that. Nothing much I can do. It has some ryegrass in it that I see is some annual ryegrass that I see is burning out. That's this brown stalks you see along the edges. I'm not really sure where that came from, but Other than that, it's looking okay. I'm gonna get the fungicide app on down. The backyard here is really big, and I got a hill and stuff. Looks kind of cool, some big rocks and stuff. Anyway, I'll get it out. Some of you might be seeing something like that in your turf right now and be questioning, well, what is that? What this is Poa annua actually burning out and dying off, like these spots here. And it looks like maybe a fungus or the grass is dying, but that's the Poa annua burning out. As good as the fescue looks right now, we're right past one of my warm season yards right now. I have sprayed this thing several times, and I sprayed it again last week trying to get the last of the weeds out of it, and did some things trying to get it green up. It looks a little better, but the cool season stuff is freaking struggling right now. The warm season stuff is struggling right now. It just doesn't have the right environment for it. All right, I'm seeing some things in this I don't really like that much. With this. What I did was I bumped up my azoxystrobin on this one to 32 ounces of azoxystrobin, 16 ounces of propiconazole, and all that other crap. I did not run any X green on this. Anyway, maybe it'll be all right. I don't think we've turned the water on here yet, but again, it rained just profusely all last week. I've got some ground ivy in this. I sprayed one around the corner about 2 weeks ago with Escalade and knocked that right out, but I'm gonna wait and save this ground ivy till next month and spray it with Shore Power. All right, this one is bent grass. Hit this with fungicides too. It's fescue in the front, bent in the back, but it was mixed with fescue, and I didn't think the homeowner liked it that much. So in the fall, I hit it with the first round of tenacin, and it absolutely smoked it. I mean, it was devastation everywhere. And I saw him in church, and he was like, "Hey man, did you kill my backyard?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm getting that old bent grass out of there, and we're gonna, when we reseed, we'll make the whole thing fescue." And he's like, "No, I want the bent grass." So I thought it was too late, but it bounced back, and it did pretty good. Tell you what I've done to get it to spread though. I put the a new growth regulator on it at a ½ pound rate, and man, it made it thick. It made it run sideways like crazy and stopped a lot of that vertical growth. But it looks really good now. You can see little spots in it, and that's not brown in the grass. It was covered in pine straw because of all them pine trees right there, and I just mulched up pine straw all into it. But anyway, I got to get this sprayed, and we'll go talk about the front too. Stand by. I'll show you a little close up of this bent grass. All right, here's bent grass. That's pretty happy. I've dropped the height of cut on this down to about 2.5 inches. I was cutting it at 4, like it was fescue, with the other fescue mixed in, but it is quickly overtaking the fescue after getting the growth regulator. It's been about 5 weeks since I had growth regulator on it too, so I might do it again. It took a nice jump when I did that. All right, I got my same concoction mixed up. We'll hit this one. Okay, here's another lawn fungus you may be seeing right now. It's a mushroom. Can you control mushrooms with a jug of fungicide? Well, heck yeah, you can. Ugh. Controlled. These look like shiitakes or something. The Permagreen Triumph here is a low volume machine, meaning it sprays at about a quart per 1,000. Most of your fungicides are gonna say on the label they require a higher spray volume, but I have been spraying them out of the Permagreen for a while, had great results. And NC State has a study where they spray, well, specifically the same stuff I'm spraying now, Headway or propiconazole or azoxystrobin. And Headway's the combination. That's basically what we're mixing in the tank, making our own Headway. And their study showed that spraying at low volume for preventative brown patch cure on fescue, the Permagreen was in some cases even better than the higher volume application, but at least equal to. So there you go. I got it mixed up. I'm going to spray the concoction on this gorgeous fescue here. And I'm going to run about 2 to 3 pounds per 1,000 of X Green out on it too. Last week when I was here, there was some signs of rust. I didn't treat it, but I mowed and collected with the walker, and this week I do not see any. Everything looks actually really good out here after it raining all last week. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna get at it. A little summarization. What the idea here is, we're mixing the two modes of fungicides, and how do you tell what is the different mode? Well, you can read labels, or on the label it'll say group X. Well, it'll be a number, like the propiconazole is a group 3, the azoxystrobin is a group 11. So if you've got a different group number, that's a different mode of action. Same way with your herbicides. So mixing those modes of actions helps you out a lot in fungicide resistance. So that is a definite thing you want to do. And some of these products will have better effect on certain types of disease than others. And the combination of some of them, like the azoxystrobin and the propiconazole, the synergy there works really well. You know, you could use azoxystrobin and tebuconazole. Tebuconazole is basically the same thing as propiconazole. Group 3. All right, but anyway, and this is a great opportunity when you're making these monthly fungicide applications to add in some nutritive things for your grass, micronutrients, what do they call them, biostimulants. The peptides will be fantastic to add right now, and in all of your other fungicide applications. I like a little potassium to help deal with stress and water regulation in the plant. But again, with the potassium, you're going to need a little bit of nitrogen to make them work. What am I going to say? Yeah, you can't kill mushrooms with a fungicide. Mushrooms are just an aesthetic problem. They ain't hurting nothing. Leave them alone. Don't eat them. That was bad. With these liquid fertilizers, you're not slamming pounds of nitrogen on the ground. I mean, because if you math them out, even at the 10.88 at 32 ounces an acre, there's not much nitrogen going into that. That application is more for the micronutrients and just the little jam of the nitrogen helping bring stuff along and move stuff through the plant. The Permagreen is a fine machine to spray fungicides at low volumes. It works just perfectly, despite what you may hear about you needing high volumes to put down fungicides. And with all these other additives in the tank, I feel like you're getting some absorption through the leaf, because we got fulvic acid, which is in the 12% humic acid. The promote surfactant is very penetrative, and there is some foliar aspects to these fertilizers we're using too. So you're going in different ways. You've got different modes. should be super effective, this application. And again, use this as a chance to get you some micronutrients and other things to help deal with the stresses of the summer going on, and keep your plant somewhat fed through all this. Again, these first 2 rounds are probably going to look very similar to this one. I'm definitely going to run the Subvert NPK MFT with this, so the next time, because I'll have it by then, hopefully. But so that I really think that's going to be a bang up additive to your fungicide application. All of these applications we've been making, the Carbonex stuff, the fertilizers, the micros, the chicken litter, the peptides, all of that has been to get us to this point successfully, and to help drive roots and to help us survive the summer. All of this biostimulating and peptiding and adding little things here and there doesn't mean a hill of beans if you don't have adequate macronutrients to your turf. And if you haven't got them by this point, it's kind of hard to play catch up, because you don't really want to be making broad swings of giant nitrogen applications or anything like that this time of year, because of the stresses that are going to be coming onto this grass here pretty soon. When it gets hot, it's just kind of going to shut down growing, and it may even, when it's deprived of water, it may even go dormant actually. These are all irrigated, so we can artificially keep them tricked out of that, and plus all of this stuff we've been putting on them should help them stay healthy and happy through the summer. And then in this area, you have to run this preventative, not this one particular, but a preventative fungicide program to keep this grass from blowing up in the summertime, because the high daytime temperatures, the humidity, the hot temperatures at night with the high humidity are just murder on cool season grass. This is really a crazy place in the world to try to grow this stuff. So anyway, hit the comment section if you got any questions, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my abilities. And good luck out there with this stuff. Appreciate y'all watching.